What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into TTP Sports. Jesus Christ, I was not expecting this afternoon. I was in the middle of doing some editing for Brodes, and then, of course, I see on my phone, I see Twitter updates, as I'm like, okay, I'll just update Twitter just to see what happens here, if there's anything different that's happening in the, sportsverse, news-wise, and then, of course, I get hit with the frickin' Dave Dombrowski making some moves. Dave Dombrowski waking up so far as we inch closer and closer towards the trade deadline, and the Phillies have made a trade. The Phillies have made a trade, and I think it's a very good trade, so we'll definitely break it down here. So, they acquire Austin Hayes from the Baltimore Orioles in exchange for Seranthony Dominguez and Cristian Pache. So at face value, I'm like, whoa, the Phillies actually got rid of Seranthony Dominguez. I was not expecting that in the world. And of course, when you're thinking about Cristian Pache, he was probably going to be DFA'd if the Phillies got a couple of outfielders or something like that, so he was always going to be an expendable player, whether it was just an extra piece into a trade or just getting plain DFA'd. So the Phillies, they found value in Cristian Pache and Seranthony Dominguez, and they turned it into what I think is a very nice platoon option for Brandon Marsh. We all knew that the Phillies were going to get some type of platoon option to play out there in left field for Brandon Marsh that can hit against left-handed pitching. Because we know at this point, Brandon Marsh is what he is. He is very good against right-handed pitching. He cannot hit left-handed pitching whatsoever. So you really needed somebody that can play when there is a lefty on the mound. And Austin Hayes definitely is a very, very good hitter against lefties. Honestly, he's basically just the right-handed version of Brandon Marsh. Very good against lefties, not so much good against righties. He's a solid fielder, and I do think playing in Citizens Bank Park for Austin Hayes can definitely improve some of his numbers power-wise, because if you look at where he was playing in Baltimore in Camden Yards, that left field is an absolute death trap for left-handed hitters in terms of power. Like, you really need to crush the goddamn ball in order to get it out, because for some reason they felt like changing the dimensions to frickin' all the way back to Timbuktu. That's basically how far left field is now in Oriole Park. Um, I do think playing in now more of a hitter-friendly ballpark in Citizens Bank definitely can improve some of the home run totals for Austin Hayes, because his numbers are very good against lefties. He hits the ball hard, and especially he hits the fastball hard, which is something that's very important as well. And overall, if you just look at Austin Hayes' numbers just solely on the season, he's got 3 home runs totaled, 14 RBIs, a 255 average, 316 on base, with a 711 OPS. He's had 157 at-bats, so he really hasn't played that many games this year, so really it does kind of look like he's just a left-handed platoon option at this point, even for the Baltimore Orioles. So if you look at his splits right now, so if I just look at his splits specifically against left-handers, specifically against right-handers, for, I believe this is for this season. Yes, this is for this season. He's played 39 games against lefties, 47 games against righties, and so far this year, he's batting .328 against lefties with a .394 on base, a .500 slugging, and an .894 OPS. That is very good. Against right-handers, he's played in 47 games. He's batted .204 with a .262 on base, a .323 slugging, and a .585 OPS. So there is a clear difference right there in terms of where he bats against lefties and against righties. He's got 1 home run against lefties this year and 2 home runs against righties. And just for his entire career, split-wise, lefty-righty, I do believe someone did post a stat about that entire thing. So there's also something here from Robert Orr as well, just comparing Brandon Marsh and Austin Hayes in terms of, where they're better at, lefty, righty, and everything like that. So Brandon Marsh, he has a WRC plus of 7 against left-handed pitchers, and Austin Hayes is a WRC plus of 154 against left-handed pitchers, so that's a clear difference right there. And then Brandon Marsh has a WRC plus of 136 against righties, and Austin Hayes has a WRC plus of 67 against righties. So clearly these two guys favor the handiness of certain pitchers right here. But I'm also trying to see just overall. So this is also from Corey Seidman. Hayes is a right-handed hitted outfielder who is hitting .328 versus lefties this season, and he has a career OPS of .791. Very solid stuff. very solid stuff, and especially this year, hitting-wise, number-wise, he's been much better against lefties this year as well. And when I brought up the hard hit percentage rate, this is from Thiago PHL, and he does a lot of great stuff for basketball more, but he does have some stuff about the Phillies. He was also retweeting Jason Stark, and Jason Stark put this out here, that interesting tidbits inside Austin Hayes' numbers. Only 3 home runs so far this year, but his hard hit percentage is 45.4, which is the highest of his career, and he was clearly hurt by the redesign of left field and left center field in Camden Yards. According to StatCast, he'd have 11 more home runs in Philadelphia from Baltimore. He had 11 more home runs in Philadelphia than Baltimore from 2021 to 2023. And then, yeah, his hard hit percentage rate off fastballs this year is 52%. And for context, Schwarber has a 61% against fastballs, JT is 56%, Harper's 56%, and Marsh is 56%. 53% actually. So, you're getting a pretty solid addition here in Austin Hayes, a very solid platoon option. And yeah, as looking for Seranthony Dominguez, it sucks on the sense to see him go, because 2022 Seranthony Dominguez was something special. Him coming off of all the elbow injuries and the Tommy John surgery, where the Phillies just couldn't figure out what they were trying to do with him. Basically, after the 2019 season, he comes back in 2022, and he is dynamic. He is elite. He is electric every time he came out of the bullpen, and he was so huge for you in the 2022 postseason. Like, you just can't even comprehend how good he was in 2022, and it just sucks that these past 2 seasons, he was just never able to replicate that type of production again from 2022. He just something lost. Just something lost in the Seranthony Dominguez experiment, and I guess just one too many times and one too many mistakes from Seranthony, just not looking good over the past couple of seasons. Even though if he does go on a little bit of a hot streak, it follows that up by just ugliness, disgustingness, and just putrid numbers. And Phillies, they felt that, obviously in this trade deadline, they're going to be upgrading some positions into the bullpen, which, trading away Seranthony Dominguez definitely clears a spot to add some bullpen arms. And we all know, recently now, with the rumors of this trade deadline, Dave Dombrowski definitely is looking from some guys to add to that bullpen. Tanner Scott obviously is one piece. Kyle Finnegan from the Nationals is obviously a piece they've been talking about as well. I believe there's a player from the Los Angeles Angels they're also talking about. His name doesn't come up to mind right now. I also heard Kirby Yates as well. So there's definitely many options that the Phillies can go after. You can't go after Mason Miller now, because Mason Miller fractured his pinky finger because he got a little frustrated in the clubhouse after one of their wins, banged his hand on one of the training mats, and he just happened to fracture his goddamn finger. So that just completely takes Mason Miller off the trading block for anybody, because I believe he's on the 15-day IL. So that was just a freak accident, and sadly the Phillies can't put all their eggs into a basket for a guy like a Mason Miller, which I don't think they were going to do regardless, but that's just, one of the other players that possibly could have been a Phillies target. It's now off the table. So mainly at this point, you got your platoon option. That was something that has been discussed for a while now. Now it's really looking at bullpen pieces and maybe adding something else for the bench. I do think the bigger moves do rely in the bullpen moves for Dave Dombrowski. I really don't expect him to go out there and get another, starting everyday type of center fielder, which I would still prefer, by the way, even though it does suck. You see Randy Arozarena go to the Seattle Mariners for a couple of top prospects in the Seattle Mariners organization. So that kind of sucks to see, because I would have loved the Randy Arozarena in Philadelphia. But Dave Dombrowski has something else up his sleeve. He definitely looks like he's more focused on the bullpen, even though there has been some rumors about the starting rotation and, getting another depth option there as well. So I'm sure Dave Dombrowski is, putting his name around every little detail that there is that can help this team out. But I would still like him. I'm sure he is still kicking feet out there with guys like Luis Robert and stuff like that. I'm sure he really hasn't cut ties anywhere there, even though there was a quote from Jason Stark a couple of days ago saying that Luis Robert is not coming to Philadelphia. Definitely do not expect that. So we'll definitely wait and see. A man could dream, though, but like I said, I'm really not expecting any more gigantic moves in terms of the outfield. I would like that. And in terms of, Lane Thomas and all that stuff, basically getting Austin Hayes completely takes Lane Thomas out of the situation, because Lane Thomas basically would just be what Austin Hayes is, a right-handed platoon option for Brandon Marsh that can just hit against left-handed pitching. So that's basically where it is at this point. You got Austin Hayes. I think it's a very, very solid move for this Phillies roster, and, just to help the overall lineup when you're facing left-handed hitters, or pitchers, I mean. And we'll see what happens over the course of the next few days. I don't think there's going to be any more trades on this front from Dave Dombrowski, because I do believe he's being interviewed on the radio in a few minutes here. So definitely I'm not expecting anything else on the movement front. So basically from tomorrow to Sunday, the Monday and Tuesday, that's probably when you're going to be expecting more things to happen. I definitely can see that happening over the next few days. Knowing my luck, I won't be home tomorrow, and Dave Dombrowski will make a gigantic trade, and I won't be home to cover it. That'll just suck. That'll just absolutely suck. Because, like I said, that would be my entire luck. And I really haven't seen anything else on the Twitterverse or anything here. And it looks like the Phillies, this is from Matt Gelb 14 minutes ago, the Phillies activated Michael Rooker from the IL to fill in Seranthony Dominguez's spot in the bullpen, which obviously they're going to be making a trade to fill in Seranthony Dominguez's spot. And I could see them going after two bullpen arms, because I do believe there's some guys in the bullpen that you could just cut ties with, specifically guys like Ruiz either, or Marte. You could just DFA those guys or send them back down to AAA. So there definitely is more room to improve in that bullpen, and getting rid of Seranthony Dominguez, realistically, it's just, it opens up that spot for a guy like a Finnegan, for a guy like a Tanner Scott. So there's definitely a lot of ways that you can go in that direction. And it's just, whatever Dave Dombrowski decides to do right here. And, just going back to Seranthony Dominguez and Cristian Pache, like I said, you didn't give up any guys from your farm system to get a guy like an Austin Hayes. You still got your farm system intact right now to go after and make some more moves. That's where I do think majority of the farm system prospects are moved, in terms of either if you just do happen to go after and get another big bat for your outfield, which, like I said, I don't expect that to happen whatsoever. But, if you get some bullpen help, you could definitely utilize some of your farm system to get some of that bullpen help. So they're definitely, like I said, there's a lot of ways Dave Dombrowski can go. What I'm most expecting at this point, one or two bullpen arms. The rumors about the starting rotation do intrigue me, so I wonder what happens around that. And maybe just another bench bat. That's what I'm expecting at this point. I would be very shocked if there's another gigantic move for an outfielder that can replace Johan Rojas in the outfield, because for as great as Johan Rojas' defense is, I'm still very, very nervous about his bat in terms of when it comes to the playoffs, because I just don't think him being every day out there, his bat's just not good. His bat's just not good. I understand if you're a 9-hole hitter batting around the 230s to 220s or something like that, you'll take that any day of the week with the defense that he can provide you out there in the outfield and the speed that he can provide you on the base paths. But I just, I still have a little PTSD from Game 7, NLCS, Johan Rojas up at the plate. Rob Thompson doesn't decide to pinch hit for him. Johan Rojas strikes out with bases loaded, 2 outs, which definitely could have been a difference in the Phillies going to the World Series last season, 100%. So I'm definitely, like I said, just a little bit of PTSD from there, and I would like to see an upgrade from Rojas, which still I don't expect to happen at this point, because I do feel like the more important moves right now are with the bullpen, with the pitching overall, and that's somewhat what it feels like the philosophy right now of Dave Dombrowski is. Getting that platoon for Brandon Marsh, improving the bullpen, because there's some leaking oil in there. Really, right now, the only couple of guys that you do trust are Matt Strahm and Jeff Hoffman. You didn't trust Seranthony Dominguez. Now he's gone. There's some question marks about Orion Kerkering. There's some question marks about Jose Alvarado. Then basically the other guys, it's you figure it out. You figure it out. and then whatever you do to improve the bullpen, which is bringing in maybe some of these other guys that we've been talking about, like a Finnegan, like a Stott, we'll see. We'll see. But like I said, I'm in favor of this move. I like this move a lot. I think it improves this team, and it opens up the door for something else to happen. Because you freed up some spots right there with getting, even though basically Austin Hayes replaces Pache, and you remove that spot from the bullpen where you can make a trade to add to that spot. So I think it's a good trade there from Dave Dombrowski, but I'm still expecting more, and we're going to get more. So that's basically it from that standpoint. But let's get to the Anytime Hotline, because we do have a voicemail here from Sean, I believe. And as I update Twitter just to make sure there's nothing else that is going on right here, I don't think there's any more updates in terms of trades, nothing, everything there or anything like there. But nope, really nothing else there. Basically it. So let's get to Sean, and let's see what he has to say about the acquisition of Austin Hayes.
Well, one thing's for sure, the Phillies have definitely cornered the market on players named Hayes. From Von Hayes to Charlie Hayes, now Austin Hayes. Look, all I hear from Phillies fans, it seems, is when is Dave Dombrowski going to make the big move, the big move, the big move? You know, to me, other than if they were to land Mason Miller, I don't think there is a big move to be made. I go back to 2008 when Gillick acquired guys like Matt Stairs, Scott Air, Joe Blanton. Cooperstown isn't opening their doors to any of those guys, but they were important cogs to the World Series championship. To me, it's not about a big move. Sometimes the small ripple move is just as vital, and I like this move. You got a guy that can help you. You didn't have to give up any of your core prospects. He's only 29 years old. He seems to rake against left-handed pitching. You should be able to hit in that park. I mean, and Dominguez and Pache weren't contributing anything. So I like the move. We'll see what else is coming behind it. But this first trade, I'd give an A to.
I agree. I definitely agree there, Sean. You bring up some good points. Yeah, you definitely brought back way back to 2008 when Pat Gillick made the smaller moves instead of going out there. What did the Dodgers get? Manny Ramirez in that big trade deadline from the Boston Red Sox, and I think a lot of Phillies fans were wanting that as well. But Pat Gillick goes out there. He gets Joe Blanton to surplus the starting rotation, and Joe Blanton was very huge for you in that 2008 run. And I don't think the Phillies lost the game that Joe Blanton pitched in, so that was huge for you at the end of the day. Getting a guy like a Matt Stairs, everyone remembers freaking Matt Stairs rips one into the night in Game 4 against the Dodgers. That was a very huge moment for you. So yeah, sometimes winning a World Series, sometimes it just takes the small ripple moves to supplement your roster. I think some people just want to see a big trade go down. I'm not like that whatsoever. I think personally, just overall, Dave Dombrowski is a very smart mind. He's been around baseball for a very, 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 very long time. Very respected individual. He's won in many places that he's been to. He's won with the Florida Marlins. He got Detroit from their hellhole. He got them into World Series contention. Sadly, they didn't win a World Series, but he got them into, multiple spots to where they can compete for a title. And then he got he helped improve a Boston team, got them to a very stacked spot in 2018 where they were the best team in baseball, and they won a World Series because of it. So Dave Dombrowski has been around the bush for a while. He knows what he is capable of doing, and he's also capable of making the big trades, but he knows the most important needs for this Phillies roster, and I'm sure Dave Dombrowski is going to go out there and acquire those pieces that can help improve the chances of the Phillies winning a World Series not only this year, but next year, the year before that. That's what Dave Dombrowski has in mind. But of course, this year is first and foremost, and that's what Dave Dombrowski is going to do. That's acquiring bullpen help. That's going out there getting Austin Hayes, who also has another year left on his contract and a year of control there. So that helps you out there. And who knows, maybe some other guys that he goes out and trade for, maybe a Tanner Scott has an extra year of control, maybe Finnegan has another year of control left. So there's guys that you can go out there and get help with for the now and for the later. And I think that's what Dave Dombrowski's doing. And sometimes, yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be the gigantic, big name trade. Doesn't have to be the sexy name. I think Phillies fans just want to see a gigantic trade like we've seen in the past, but guys like with guys like Ruben Amaro. Ruben Amaro always made the gigantic trade, and sometimes that always didn't work out for you. So we'll see. We'll see. I would just like, basically it's just me. I just like to improve the spot with Rojas. That's really where I just want to see the most improvement from. But still, Rojas playing every day isn't the end of the world. It's like I said, just PTSD from his specific at bat with bases loaded in the NLCS. That's basically it there. I would like to see the improvement there, but I'm not really expecting it. Like I said, I'm expecting more of the bullpen help. I was expecting something like an Austin Hayes trade, more with Lane Thomas, but Austin Hayes is still a very good pickup for a platoon option in left field. And yeah, bullpen help, maybe another bench bat. And like I said, it's intriguing to see if they are going to do something about the starting rotation. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. But I think that's going to do it here, everybody. I appreciate you all tuning in here. We'll definitely have our Phillies recap later tonight after the whatever happens with them and the Cleveland Guardians. Christopher Sanchez is on the bump, so hopefully the Phillies can find a way just to get some home cooking. Maybe they get a spark from this little trade here for Austin Hayes, and we'll see what happens. Phillies need to get back to the winning ways, and I do believe they will. They're just in a little bit of a rut now, and I do believe they'll find a way to get themselves out of it. It definitely would be nice to start it tonight with, big series against Cleveland and the Yankees coming up. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So, thanks, guys, for tuning in. I'll talk to you later tonight. Definitely don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions on this Austin Hayes contract down below in the comment section. I would love to see those. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Don't pass it up. Get yourself down to CBP. See this Phillies team in action. And, yeah. That'll do it for tonight, everybody. I'll see you later on after the game. And that'll be it. I'll see you guys.